Hi, welcome back to Give Me the Bible, where God's Word speaks for itself. In our last video, we talked about the fact that not all interpretations of the Bible are equally valid. In fact, there are different methods of interpretation. We talked about the field of study called hermeneutics, which basically is the study of how to properly interpret the text of the Bible. And one of the main things that we need to understand in interpretation, and this is the thing that I see really the most giving people trouble in their understanding of the Bible, is a failure to recognize that the Bible was not written in a vacuum. The Bible was written in actual history at different time periods across different cultures. And if we don't realize that and take that into account when we read the Bible, there's a lot of things that either A, won't make sense to us, or B, we will get the false idea from the passage. We'll get a false application. For instance, let me give you an example in 1 Timothy. 1 Timothy chapter 5, Paul is writing to the young preacher Timothy, and he says in chapter 5, verse 23, "No longer drink water exclusively, but use a little wine for the sake of your stomach and your frequent ailments." Now, many people want to use this verse to say, oh, well, Paul's saying it's fine for us to drink wine and we can just, go out and have alcohol and that's perfectly fine. But we have to understand that's not Paul's point at all. He's telling Timothy to use a little wine for the sake of his stomach. And that even maybe seems a little bit weird to us, but in the historical context, you have to understand this was written in the first century Greco-Roman world, in which it was actually hard for them to come by fresh water that was free from bacteria. And so, what they would often do is they would mix in a little wine with the water, which would serve as a disinfectant to kill the bacteria in the water. And this is what Paul is instructing Timothy to do. Apparently, Timothy was suffering from some stomach issues, and it could have been things that typically were associated with drinking bad water. And so Paul instructs him, go ahead, mix in a little wine with the water for the sake of your stomach and your ailments. When we understand the historical context, these verses that we read in the Bible they just come to life. They just pop with new meaning and really accurate meaning. And that's really the most important part. We want to remember, what did the author mean when he wrote what he wrote to his particular audience? And taking into account the historical context is one of the most helpful ways of keeping our interpretation accurate the way the original author intended us to interpret it. Thank you so much for your interest in spiritual things. I hope that this has been encouraging and helpful in your study of the Bible. Continue with us in these videos, and we'll talk more about textual context specifically next time.